It begins with a shock that no fan was prepared for, a heartbreaking announcement that sent waves of grief across the music world. A rising voice in the new era of dark pop, punk-infused hip-hop, and emotional rock has fallen silent forever. POORSTACY, the deeply loved and profoundly influential artist behind the haunting hit Don't Look at Me, has died at just 26 years old. The news broke suddenly, and within minutes, social media was flooded with disbelief, confusion, and raw emotion. The world wanted answers, but all anyone knew was that a young talent, a voice carrying pain and poetry in every beat, was gone far too soon. The story begins in Boca Raton, Florida, a place where sunshine normally paints the skyline. But on this day, it became the setting of a tragedy that no one saw coming. According to officials, the artist, born Carol Milford, was found dead on November 29th, leaving behind family, friends, collaborators, and millions of fans who struggled to understand how someone with so much artistic fire could disappear in an instant. Police have not yet released any details about what caused his death, leaving the world waiting and hoping for clarity that still hasn't arrived. What is known, however, is that he was staying at a hotel at the time, a lonely detail that adds a haunting layer to an already devastating moment. Before the world knew him as POORSTACY, Carol Milford was just a kid with a dream and a voice that didn't fit neatly into any genre. And maybe that's exactly why he became impossible to ignore. He came up in the digital age, a generation raised on raw emotion, late-night confessions online, and music that blurred the lines between rap, emo, punk, and rock. His sound wasn't something you simply listened to, it was something you felt. Something that reminded you of your own bruises. Something that felt like sitting with your darkest thoughts and somehow finding a light inside them. It was that emotional honesty that turned POORSTACY into a name that echoed across underground forums, growing fan bases, and finally, major playlists. And it wasn't long before Hollywood, the music industry, and some of the biggest names in the business took notice. One of those names was the legendary Travis Barker, the iconic drummer who has resurrected and shaped the sound of countless rising artists. Their collaborations, including the explosive track Hills Have Eyes, proved there was something undeniably magnetic about POORSTACY's vision. He brought intensity, he brought pain, he brought a truth that people could hear immediately. His partnership with Travis Barker wasn't just musical, it was symbolic. Barker has a history of identifying artists with raw emotion and underground power, and POORSTACY was no exception. The two worked together on multiple projects, sparking a sound that felt rebellious, unfiltered, and dripping with the angst of a generation that often feels unheard. Fans saw the two together and felt a sense of validation, that one of the most respected musicians in the world had recognized the brilliance of this young Florida artist. But one song in particular carried POORSTACY into an entirely new spotlight. His track Darkest Night didn't just become a fan favorite, it was selected for the soundtrack of the Grammy-nominated film Bill Ted Face the Music, introducing his voice and style to a global audience. For many, hearing that haunting cinematic song for the first time was a moment they would never forget. It was proof that POORSTACY was not just a rising artist, he was a storyteller, a force, a soul who created soundscapes that touched viewers and listeners in ways hard to describe. But underneath the rising fame, the millions of streams, and the collaborations with icons, there was always something delicate about POORSTACY. His music often carried themes of emotional struggle, self-reflection, inner darkness, and the search for meaning. Tracks like Don't Look at Me revealed a young man asking the world to understand him, but also to give him space. His lyrics were filled with the kind of vulnerability that only comes from someone carrying invisible battles. And it's this vulnerability that now feels unbearably heavy as the world mourns him. When news of his death spread, the reactions were instant and overwhelming. Fans described feeling gut-punched, as though they had lost someone who spoke directly to their souls. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, every platform exploded with tributes, candle-lit videos, artwork, and emotional messages. People shared the moments when POORSTACY songs helped them survive their own darkest nights. Others thanked him for being honest in a world that often punishes honesty. Many simply wrote that their hearts were broken. Musicians from every corner of the industry began posting messages of grief. Collaborators, producers, friends, and artists who had shared stages or studios with him wrote about how genuine he was, how much passion he carried, how much he loved creating something meaningful. Some said they had just spoken to him days earlier. Others said they had seen him in the studio full of energy and ideas. The pain of losing someone so young, so creative, and so impactful was felt across genres, across countries, across communities. Behind the scenes, sources began whispering that POORSTACY had been staying in a hotel in Boca Raton shortly before his death. Why he was there, what he was going through, whether he was working, resting, or seeking space, these questions still remain unanswered. Police have maintained silence about the cause of death, leaving fans and reporters desperately searching for answers but finding only heartbreak. Insiders in the music world have suggested that POORSTACY had been working on new material, trying new sounds, experimenting with emotional storytelling in ways that could have launched him into an even bigger spotlight. Some believe he was on the verge of a musical reinvention, a powerful next step that could have reshaped his career. Others say he was dealing with personal struggles, trying to navigate the pressure that comes with sudden fame, expectations, and the weight of his own past. But all of this remains speculation. And the truth is, until authorities release more information, the world is left in a painful silence that mirrors his own musical themes. His sudden death has raised questions and concerns, and many experts in the entertainment industry are reflecting on how often young artists face invisible burdens behind closed doors. The pressure to constantly produce, to stay relevant, to keep fans engaged, and to handle emotional trauma while living in the public eye is a struggle many do not see. Music commentators have already begun comparing POORSTACY's death to other tragic young losses in the industry. Artists like Lil Peep, Juice WRL, and others who passed away far too early, leaving behind legacies of raw, emotional music. The comparison isn't about style. It's about the heartbreaking pattern of gifted, expressive creators being taken from the world before they have the chance to heal, grow, and truly see how much they mattered. As fans look back at POORSTACY's career, one thing becomes clear. He had an extraordinary ability to transform pain into art. Songs like Don't Look at Me are filled with lyrics that now feel painfully prophetic, almost as if he had been trying to warn the world, or perhaps simply trying to find a place where he could breathe. There is something haunting about revisiting those words now, knowing that he will never again stand behind a microphone, never again step into a studio, never again release a new piece of himself into the world. Yet his legacy will not fade. POORSTACY leaves behind a musical footprint that young artists will study, imitate, and evolve from. He blended genres not because it was trendy, but because it was natural to him. Because he heard music differently. He felt sound differently, and that is the mark of a true artist. His collaborations with Travis Barker, his unforgettable presence on the Bill Ted Face the Music soundtrack, and his emotionally charged singles will live on across playlists, performances, and memories. So what does this mean for his career, his impact, and his future legacy? Some experts believe that tragically, this moment will solidify POORSTACY as a cult figure, someone whose name will carry mystery, sadness, and legendary creativity. Others say that his unreleased work, if ever shared, could show the world just how much potential he still had. And for his fans, this moment will forever change the way they listen to his music. Every note, every lyric, every beat will feel heavier now, more sacred, more final. His death also brings attention to the emotional struggles that young artists face today. The entertainment industry may look glamorous from the outside, but behind the scenes, many suffer silently. POORSTACY's passing may reignite conversations about mental health, support systems, and the intense pressure placed on performers who are still trying to understand themselves while millions watch. Looking back, there were glimpses of his inner battles across his music. It was clear that he felt deeply, that he carried heavy emotions, that he needed to release that pain through sound. That authenticity is what drew fans to him in the first place. It's what made him stand out. And it's what makes losing him feel so unbearably tragic. As the world waits for more details about what happened in that hotel room in Boca Raton, one truth remains. The music world has lost a rare voice. A voice that captured the ache of a generation. A voice that understood loneliness, fear, hope, and heartbreak in a way that only true artists can. POORSTACY was more than a musician. He was a mirror. And now that mirror has shattered, leaving reflections that will stay with us forever. But even in this pain, one thing is certain. His music will keep him alive. Those who loved him will play his songs louder. Those who discovered him only after his passing will dive into every lyric with new meaning. And those who once found comfort in his voice will continue to hold on to it, because it is one of the few pieces of him that will never fade. This is the tragedy of losing someone so young, so talented, so full of unfinished dreams. But it is also the beauty of art. It survives even when the artist does not. And in that survival, POORSTACY lives on,